My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins, the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. We are all familiar with the saying, beggars can't be choosers. This phrase is also connected with another saying, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It was first recorded by an English author, John Haywood, in 1546. At that time, there was no organized state that would help the poor in any manner. It was implied that when the beggar or poor people were being helped or given gifts, then the only acceptable thing to do was to be grateful to the benefactors rather than trying to find the value of the gifts they received or question it in any matter, since alms or gifts were at the mercy of the people giving them. Lord, precisely this is what we are before you, utter and complete beggars in your presence, since we cannot do anything on our own from a supernatural point of view without your grace. All the blessings, gifts, inspirations come from you, as you say very clearly, you cannot do anything apart from me. This is clearly manifested once more in the Gospel passage today. It tells us about a leper who approached you and begged you for help. It was obvious what he needed and wanted. He was in desperate need of being cured of leprosy, which, at the time of your presence among us, Jesus, more than 2,000 years ago, was considered to be a very ugly disease, disfiguring, debilitating, progressively invasive, even contagious. For this reason, anyone who had contracted this disease was banished from the family and community, forbidden to have any contact with the healthy, and they had to live at the mercy of others who provide for their daily sustenance. They lived in the outskirts of towns and villages, in the wilderness, in caves or huts, simply trying to stay alive. Lord, this reminds me of a very good movie I watched many years ago called Ben-Hur, a classic, a masterpiece. In that movie, owing to the envy of his friend, Ben-Hur's mother and sister were imprisoned for 3 years. Finally, when Ben-Hur was able to obtain the release of both of them from their prison, when the guard opened the prison door, he cried out, quite horrified, "Lepers!" and fled in terror. However, Ben-Hur, at first somewhat reluctant, approaches and embraces them despite the refusal of both of them. Yes, how can Ben-Hur not do this, since they were his mother and sister? They're so dearly beloved by him. Eventually, toward the end of the movie, at the moment of Jesus' crucifixion, both of them were healed miraculously. You see, some time back, Jesus had offered Ben-Hur a drink of water when he was being taken to a prison. Ben-Hur was quite moved by this kind gesture of Jesus, not knowing who he was. But the seed of faith was already cast into the soul of Ben-Hur to believe in Jesus as the Messiah. Beggars can't be choosers. This leper in the Gospel passage today was a beggar through and through. He depended on Jesus' mercy, goodness, and compassion for his healing. Only if Jesus will heed his petition, only if Jesus will show him a modicum of compassion and kindness, only if Jesus will show him at least an acknowledgement of his plight, then at least he can be consoled somewhat. There's no way that the leper could put any conditions to his petition to Jesus. He could not ask or tell Jesus, "Lord, please cure me of my leprosy, but when you do so, could you also make my skin a little healthier than before my leprosy?" Or, "Lord, when you cure me of my leprosy on my right arm, can you make it grow slightly longer, say by 5 millimeters, because I did not like the length of my right arm?" Or, "Lord, when you cure me of my leprosy, can you make my muscles a little stronger, because I felt that my muscles were a little too flabby?" Of course, all that would be ridiculous, since beggars can't be choosers. And the leper in the Gospel passage would never have thought about putting any conditions to the petition he was making to you, Jesus. Why? Because he was in absolute need of mercy and compassion toward him. And you, Jesus, looked at his plight and used your divine power to give only what you can give. You gave him far more than what he was asking for. You gave him, Jesus, not only healing from leprosy, which in itself was already a tremendous blessing for him, you also gave him deep inner healing from anguish, torment, sadness, perhaps even anger against God and despair. How good you are, Jesus, because as St. Paul reminded the Christians in Ephesus, you, Jesus, are able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think. We ask for your favors, blessings, and granting of our petitions with absolute trust and confidence that you will grant us all this and far more, provided we continue to act as beggars before you, knowing that we cannot be choosers, leaving whatever you want to grant me entirely to your own compassion, goodness, and mercy. There's this well-known story in the life of St. Martin of Tours. While he was still catechumen, when he had nothing except a sword and a simple military dress, the middle of a winter at the time which was quite severe than ordinary, so that the extreme cold was proving fatal to many, he happened to meet at the gates of the city of Amiens in France a poor man destitute of clothing. He was entreating those that passed by to have compassion upon him, but all passed the wretched man without notice. When Martin took notice of him and stopped, what should he do? He had nothing except the cloak in which he was clad, for he had already parted with the rest of his garments for similar purposes. Taking therefore his sword, with which he was girt, he divided his cloak into 2 equal parts, gave one part to the poor man, while he again clothed himself with the remainder. The following night, when Martin was about to go to sleep, he had a vision of Christ arrayed in that part of his cloak with which he had clothed the poor man. Martin contemplated the Lord with the greatest attention, was told to take possession of the robe Jesus was giving him. At the same time, he heard you, Jesus, who told him with a clear voice, Martin, you have clothed me with this robe. I was the beggar you met at the gate. It is I whom you have clothed. So now I'll clothe you with my own divine power. So it happened that after his baptism, Martin was clothed with many divine favors with which he continued to work miracles and wonders for the benefit of countless people. Martin, being a catechumen at that time, was a beggar before God, asking for the great gift of baptism. The Lord granted him not only this great gift, but along with that, abundant blessings beyond the expectations, dreams of Martin, so that his life will bear wonderful witness of holiness in the service of so many souls. Lord, that is why, from now on, when I pray the prayer you taught us, give us this day our daily bread, I'll be more mindful of the fact that I'm a beggar before your divine presence. Perhaps in the past, I had too many times asked for different blessings for my personal benefits, largely for selfish reasons. And perhaps that is why my prayer were not answered, because I was not a beggar before you, but rather someone who demanded, give me this, give me that, do this for me, do that for me, and so on. But how can I, a beggar before you, even dare to act like that towards you, who is my God and my all? I'm truly sorry if in the past I had acted not like a beggar with a humble and trusting disposition, but rather from my selfish and proud attitude. St. Cyril of Alexandria, one of the great fathers of the Church, says, to ask is not the part of those who have, but of those rather who are in need and cannot do without. So praying to you and asking you, give us this day our daily bread, is a fundamental necessity for all of us. Acting this way, according to St. Cyril, is to live with a saint-like poverty. Jesus, I'm now coming to the end of this short 10 minutes of conversation with you. As I do so, I want to make the following resolution. From now on, whenever I start my prayer with you, I think of myself as a beggar before you in complete need of your forgiveness, compassion, and love. I'll not put any condition to my petitions to you, but only say to you, Jesus, grant me whatever you see fit, since you know all things, and you know that I love you. I only ask for your blessing and grace, so that whatever you have prepared for me today, my study, my work, my travels, my computer time, my dealing with my family and friends, I'll see all of them as opportunities to receive answers to my petitions to you. My study will be an opportunity to see how you sanctify my intellect. My work will be an opportunity to see how you are pleased with my offerings like that of Abel of the Old Testament. My computer time will be an opportunity to see how you ennoble my healthy curiosity to a supernatural level. My dealing with my family and friends will be an opportunity for me to pray for their happiness and holiness, asking for your blessings for them. My mother, you're also a beggar, the greatest beggar before God. What you begged from me was the coming of the Redeemer, not knowing that you are going to be that singular, unique woman in the entire human history, the mother of the Redeemer. You received from God a tremendous gift, far beyond your petition, since you received God Himself as your gift. Please help us to pray daily before the Lord with the same dispositions of humility, trust, and confidence with which characterize your entire immaculate holy life. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.